LG might have one of the most polarizing lineups in the whole entire TV industry for 2024. And the reason for this is because they're taking the separation of the C series and the G series even further than it was. Those of you that are in the market for a G series in 2024, well, you guys can be very happy because there's some good news coming to the G series while some bad news comes to the C series. And I'm going to talk about that and all of everything that we know about the 2024 LG OLED TV lineup. Now, this is going to be mostly my opinions, but we'll talk about some specs as well, especially when it comes to the important information that separates the two TVs, like the G series and the C series. A bigger separation than we've ever seen with these two. And so let's start with the biggest change for 2024, and that's going to be the new Alpha 11 AI processor. This is the A11 processor, which if you guys are familiar with LG, you know that they were on the A9 processor. And every year it was just a new generation of the A9 processor. And this year we're even seeing the A9 Gen 7 processor, which is going to be in a different TV, not the G series. We're going to talk about that in a second. Now, when it comes down to the A11, that's only going to be in the G series and the M series. Now, you might think it's kind of weird that they're jumping from the A9 to the A11 processor. Well, LG is saying they're doing this because they think it's such a big leap in processing that they just want to make sure they jump a number. But I'll tell you, I don't believe that. I think the reason why they're doing that is because it will look like a bigger gap on the spec sheet. So if you look at the C series, you'll see that it has an A9, but when people look at the G series, they'll see that it has an A11. People will always associate bigger numbers as better, and in this case, that will be true. So I think that it's more so marketing than anything else. So you'll have the A8 with the B series, the A9 with the C series, and then you'll jump to the A11 with the G series. So people might think that's such a huge jump that it's going to be worth it. So that's why I think they did it. At least that's my theory. I don't have any concrete information on that. They're telling people that they're doing it because it's such a big jump. And I really do hope that is the case, but I still think there is marketing behind this. And you usually don't skip numbers unless there's a superstitious thing to it, or you just want to make it look better on the spec sheet. But both things can be true. It can be very improved, but it will also look good on the spec sheet because jumping from an A9 to an A11 as opposed to an A9 to an A10 is just going to make it look better for them. Naming quirks aside, how much better is it really? Well, this is what LG is saying. The A11 AI processor is going to be providing a 70% improvement in graphic performance and a 30% faster processing speed compared to its predecessor. Now, this is quoted directly from LG themselves in their press release, and I think this is something that gets me really excited when we get to talking about LG because I feel like in the past, the thing that's really been holding them back is their picture processing. Now, we'll see how much of a change this is going to be for LG as far as picture processing goes. Is it going to be as good as Sony's XR processor? That's going to be something to look forward to because when it comes down to like things like low bitrate content, they're definitely lagging behind Sony in that area. And also when it comes down to picture clarity, you have more things that are going to improve the picture, like reality creation, for example, on Sony's TV. So we're hoping LG is going to bring something like that in the A11 TVs. And I think they might, because the way that it sounds like in this press release, they're talking about new AI upscaling that is utilizing precise pixel level image analysis to effectively sharpen objects and backgrounds that may appear blurry. So when it comes down to Sony's XR processor, one of the things that we like about it is that it does have upscaling abilities that is going to take the picture to the next level, and it's going to give you some really nice, clear, sharp images when it comes down to your picture quality as opposed to other TVs that it's next to. Sometimes that Sony TV can just look that much clearer. Seeing LG make improvements here is going to be a really nice change for 2024, and I'm hoping that it's going to be very competitive. This is a gigantic change, and they're going to be improving their dynamic tone mapping pro as well as the AI picture pro that is driven by AI deep learning capability. And one of the things that's been talked about with this new A11 processor is the fact that it's going to work with all content. In the past, the AI Picture Pro was turned off for certain content based on DRM. And it sounds like what's going to happen now is that this is not going to be affected by that. So this should essentially work on every content that you throw at it. And so that's a really good sign. On top of the picture quality improvements, they're also going to be doing the new AI Sound Pro, which is going to give you a virtual 11.1.2 surround sound. This is going to help separate the vocals from the soundtrack to enhance clarity of dialogue. This is what LG is saying themselves in their press release. So the new A11 AI processor is going to be a reason to get the G series in 2024. Another change coming to the G series is going to be that some regions are getting a stand in the box. They're actually going to give you a variant of the G series that has a stand as opposed to the ones with a wall mount bracket. So it sounds like they're going to sell two different variants of the LG G4, one with the stand and one with the wall mount bracket. And this is actually a really good thing because one of the biggest complaints about the G series is the fact that it doesn't have a TV stand in the box. Now, only certain regions are supposedly going to get this, so I don't know exactly which regions that is going to be. We'll find out that information at CES, I'm sure. But if we don't, I'm going to guess that it's going to be at least North America that's going to get this because that is definitely one of the biggest complaints that you hear with the G series. Another thing for the 2024 lineup with the G series is it's going to have MLA technology once again, but this is going to also now extend to the 83-inch size. Before, you only had 55, 65, and 77, but this year it's going to extend to 83 inches, which is really awesome. As far as the brightness goes for the G4, the press release does have a lot of the same numbers that we saw with the press release for the G3. So I think it's going to be more or less the same amount of brightness. There might be some improvements to brightness, and we'll probably hear about that more at CES, and I'll talk about that once I get that information. But I would expect it to be about the same as the G3, if not just a little bit better. So we talked about the biggest improvements to the G series. Now these improvements are also going to be coming to the M series this year. And you're pretty much going to get the same exact situation with the M series and the G series as last year, but there's not going to be a 55-inch screen size for the M series. And the M series is, of course, going to have that wireless zero connect box. Now, the G series and the M series also have the 5-year panel warranty that we've come to expect with these types of TVs. But of course, the C series and the B series will not have this 5-year panel warranty. It's also important to note that the max refresh rate that's going to be on these TVs is going to be 144 hertz, aside from the 97-inch screen size. And this is also going to apply to the C series as well, which is going to get 144 hertz capability, but the B series is only going to have 120 hertz. I think the biggest disappointment for people in 2024 is going to be the fact that the C4 is not going to feature MLA. It's not going to have MLA. So you're not going to have that enhancement to your OLED technology that you have with the G series and the M series. And when it comes down to the C series, the processor is, of course, not going to be the A11. This is why I'm saying this is the biggest separation from the C series and the G series that we've seen before, because we've never really seen them have different processors. But this year we have the A9 Gen 7 in the C series, which is pretty much going to be very similar to previous generations of the A9 processor, just with some slight improvements. And when I'm looking at the LG C4, it's probably going to be very similar to the LG C3, which was very similar to the LG C2, which was very similar to the LG C1. You see the pattern there is the C series doesn't change very much from year to year. So if you have bought a C series in the past, there's really no reason to want to upgrade to a newer C series. And the upgrade is going to lie in the G series this year. The other new obstacle that the C series faced last year was the fact that you could get QD OLED for the same price. And so I don't think that works very well in the LG C4's favor. When we go to the B series, this is going to have the A8 processor. It's only 120 hertz, like I mentioned before. And really, the B series is still a very good series. And if you're buying your first OLED ever and you can catch that kind of TV on sale, I still think it is a really good TV for people to buy into. My takeaway from all of this is that the LG G series is going to be very much improved for 2024. I think that the processing should help LG a lot, and I'm hoping that it can challenge Sony for the processing crown. I know that's a lot to ask for because the XR processor is so good, but Man, if we could see some great improvements and it lives up to the hype that LG is putting out there, then this new A11 AI processor is going to be a big step up for LG. At least that's the hope. And that's all we can really go for when we hear about CES news. And I'll have more CES news throughout the whole entire week. So make sure you tune into the channel for all of that information. And be sure to hit the subscribe button with notifications turned on so you don't miss a beat. Appreciate you guys tuning into this video. If you want to keep watching CES coverage, check out this video right here. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.